Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something Else.
Something Else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matano, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
Welcome back to the best podcast covering classic wrestling there is. Welcome to Something Else. Today, we look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from June 15th, 1985. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the Tommy Pritchard to my the Bruiser. It's Trae. And Trae, to put you on the spot here at the beginning of the episode, what number episode are we on?
Is it 303?
It is 303.
All right.
Trey told me earlier today that he's looking to see how long he's going to still remember the episode title for. So we're going to put him on the spot and see if he remembered.
All right, that's fine. So we're the best podcast covering classic wrestling now.
I believe we are.
Did a whole bunch of podcasts get canceled?
Possibly. But I always like to point out, we are the longest running podcast covering Mid-South Wrestling on a weekly basis. You know, Brian and Vinny tried it a couple times, never made it more than 10 or so episodes. The Mike Mills, Brian Last version went until the end of 1983. We've been going since the beginning of December 1981 all the way through June of 1985. We've never skipped an episode. Sure, we've missed a week or whatever for whatever reason, and we had to make up for it the next week, but we have done every single week Mid-South Wrestling from December of 81. If you want to listen to the history of Mid-South, the entire archive is right here, ladies and gentlemen.
It's
Trey, go ahead.
Oh, am I there? So
I was gonna say, Trey, you're a big part of it.
Well, thank you. And the TNA show, I wonder because you've got to be kidding me, started like way before you did.
Yes.
But they've slowed down to the point that I wonder if you're going to catch up to them eventually.
Where are they at? I honestly have never checked them out. Sorry, guys, you're great.
I think they are at Final Destination 2007, which was very funny because I've never actually listened to their podcast, but I'll listen to the clips as they come up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny, their episode of Final Destination 2007 came out right around the same week that we got to that Cornette's road agent report for that show. So it was a very big week for me on the YouTubes last week.
To make it even better, easy for me to say, the actual name of the pay-per-view is Final Resolution.
What did I say?
Final Destination is the name of a movie series.
Oh, I recently became a fan of that movie series. I'm sorry, I've got it on the brain.
No problem. I was thinking about this the other day. I know we're both, fans of Wrestle Crap going way back when. We were both going to that website on the early days of Wrestle Crap.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the WCW mini movie trilogy? They inducted it forever ago, but did you ever see those things? The Halloween Havoc, Super Brawl 3, and Beach Blast videos?
I saw the Beach Blast one when I was watching.
Cheatham blew up the boat?
Yeah, when I was watching WCW 93 a while back. I don't think I've actually seen the videos of the other one.
It's funny because, I guess it was a Sharon Cidello thing, and she allegedly was somebody who was boinking Ole Anderson, and somehow that got it through. And even though Bill Watts, it feels like it's so not something Bill Watts would approve of. Bill Watts put 2 of them on TV, and Bischoff put the 3rd one on. And it was the 3rd one that caused WCW higher-ups, Turner higher-ups, to basically go, we are never doing this again. And you can argue their success. The Halloween Havoc 92 with Sting versus Jake was a great financial success. That was the most bought WCW pay-per-view for years. The Super Brawl 3 one, at least he had Sting and Vader in that fucking amazing strap match. So it was an artistic success. Beach Blast 93, it cost more than they made on the pay-per-view. Or I guess it made more than the live event revenue. Like the live event sold like $27,000 of tickets, and the video cost like $70,000 to make.
It's a shame that Turner put the kibosh on that, and we never got Cheatham joining the NWO.
I was just thinking of like how maybe Cheatham could have been the person who kneecapped Hogan in the Nancy Kerrigan angle.
Oh, I think that would have been better.
Yeah. Oh God. So, yeah. And people complain about wrestling nowadays. Geesh.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's head into Mid-South. Let's kick things off. Mid-South, June 15, 1985. The intro's in parts. Let's go to the first half of the intro with JR and Joel.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Mid-South Wrestling. I'm Jim Ross, and this is Joel Watson. We're going to call all the action for you here today, ladies and gentlemen. A tremendous hour in store for you. You've got some great single competition like the Snowman in action. You're going to see Terry Taylor in action. You'll see Superstar Bill Dundee against the North American Heavyweight Champion, the former Nightmare, now called the Champion. Plus, Joe, we've got a great tag team matchup that's going to be just one of the great main events of all time.
The Fantastics are going to be taking on Dr. Death and Ted DiBiase. It promises to be a great match. And Jim, there's a special message from Mid-South to all groups and organizations out there that would like a great idea for a fundraiser. Let's watch that now.
Okay. So yeah, the Champion is in action today to go against Bill Dundee. And one of the great main events of all time, the Fantastics versus Dr. Death and Ted DiBiase. You know, champion versus champion. We'll get to that later on, but it's a champion versus champion match.
Okay, you know I love Jim Ross.
Yes, you do.
Jim, I just feel like he's still at the point where he's learning what he can and can't say to maintain his own credibility. And he's not quite there yet, because I just heard him say the sentence, I'm sorry, I've got it written down here. You're going to see some great singles competition like the Snowman in action.
Yeah, yep. I forget what it was, but a few years ago, someone was complaining, I saw on the internet, about the announcers putting over the matches we're going to see on a show on that episode of wrestling. And I'm like, well, what did you want them to say? Wait till you see the fucking shit that we booked on this show today. But I mean, yeah, there's JR gets a lot better at it. He knows he ends up getting his little keywords that he slips in anytime we're gonna have a match that isn't gonna be very pretty.
Bowling shoe ugly.
And he pretty much anything involving the Snowman at this point could definitely be bowling shoe ugly. Joel looks like a Ken doll this week. I don't know why. I mean, he looks exactly the same as he always does, but for some reason this week he just looks like a Ken doll.
Did you see the Barbie movie that came out a few years ago?
I did.
It's fucking tremendous, wasn't it?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I never saw Oppenheimer though. Did you?
No. I was not on speaking terms with history at that time.
I'm sorry, but you and history have made up to at least a small degree, at least.
We have reconciled and are stronger than ever.
That's good. I saw my former co-host yesterday. We have not reconciled, which I just think it's funny, but you know.
Yeah.
Trey, here's hoping you and I don't have a all-out fight that leads us to never talk to each other again. Although it'll be easier for us to not talk to each other again since I never see you. But you know, me and my former co-host, we still see each other seemingly once a month at least. And it's actually funny to me how he'll go out of his way to avoid me.
Well, we are going to be at the Now Arena together. If we want to have a big dust up, that would be the place for it.
I'm not able to get backstage for this one. New Japan probably doesn't want to give me media credentials. I guess I haven't actually tried. Oh, I figured it's the Now Arena, the home of Brawl Out. You wanted us to have a big falling out backstage.
It doesn't matter. We can do it anywhere.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. Because I feel like if I talked about how, your shitty management and that you suck up to the people in charge of this podcasting network, I'd be like, you suck up to me. I have a feeling that it wouldn't go over very well. But yeah, I have not yet bought my ticket. Good seats are still available for the first night of the G1 at the Now Arena.
We'll have to get for our post G1 podcast. We'll have to get, what the fuck was he eating? Muffins?
Yes, but I don't think they're open on the weekend. But yeah, although it's funny because I'm still trying to figure out the logistics of that because I'm going to spoil things for you. My incredibly complex podcast setup is I have a headset plugged into my laptop and I pull up Zoom and hit the record button. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to pull this one off here, but we'll figure out something, I'm sure.
I may possibly be better equipped for this than you are.
Possibly. We might have to have you bring in your lappy and be like, "Hey, go to Zoom and press record."
I have a nice set of lab mics.
Nice.
They're easy to travel with.
We'll have to give it a shot, or we'll have one of the weird episodes where we have one mic between us that we pass back and forth.
Yeah, no, I have a pair of mics that connect to each other and then connect to whatever device, and
okay.
I could literally record us in the fucking recording app on my phone and then turn that into a thing.
Interesting. I guess the answer is pretty obvious, but when we do our post G1 show, are we just going to be discussing the G1? It feels obvious,
yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe we're going to decide to sit in a hotel in Chicago and talk about Mid-South from 42 years ago.
It occurred to me, what are we going to do Friday night?
I don't know. I know, I'd have to look because I know, New Japan is doing their fan festing sometime Friday, so that might be a thing to do.
I don't know how it's going to work out. I would try to go to. It depends on how much earlier I'm getting there than you and what I can do with my stuff in that time.
Yeah, I think it also because honestly I don't know my own logistics yet. I'm going to get my car taken a look at next week. I'm going to get the oil changed and, having them do a once over to make sure that, nothing is out of whack.
Yeah.
Because if there is something out of whack, it gives it some time to get it in whack. And go from there. I actually did look up trains there in front. I'm like, I know me. I'm not going to sit on a fucking train for 23 hours. I'll be bored out of my fucking mind.
I'm gonna try it. I think I might enjoy it.
Anywho, you can have a Mid-South show as a fundraiser in your hometown. Just ignore the fact that Mid-South went out of business 40 years ago. Let's go back to JR and Joel at the desk, and they're going to discuss General Skandar Akbar and the public knowledge of what his plans are to do.
Great fundraising idea, ladies and gentlemen, for your nonprofit group or organization. We certainly look forward to hearing from some of the fine groups around the Mid-South area. Ladies and gentlemen, last week Hacksaw Duggan was in action, and it's public knowledge that General Skandar Akbar has said that he will do anything to rid wrestling, as he says, of Hacksaw Jim Duggan. But little did we know that he would stoop to an all-time low as he attempted to do last week. Thank goodness for Cowboy Bill Watts. Let's join the closing moments of that battle.
You know, it's funny. I put down the timestamps, and I'm like, wasn't this longer than 28 seconds? I'm like, nah, it must be like a minute 28, and I just put the wrong minute at the beginning. Nope, it was 28 seconds. So General Skandar Akbar is doing anything to rid Jim Duggan from professional wrestling. Now I know that the WWF of 1987 is not the WWF of the early to mid 90s, where they just completely shun anything that has to do anything with professional wrestling. But would you say Jim Duggan going to the WWF in 87 would be him leaving professional wrestling since he went to sports entertainment?
You can make that argument, but I don't feel like going that way right now.
Okay. So they showed the replay of last week when Akbar, Doc, DiBiase, and Duggan had to wait about 3 hours for slow-ass Bill Watts to come to the ring to make the save. I love that at no point could they edit this so it was not painfully awkward that they're all sitting there waiting for Watts to come down the steps.
Well, they wouldn't want to misrepresent the reality of the situation.
Oh, I'm sure. So after that, they go back to the desk, and we're going to hear from the general. Let's go to that now.
Well, Hacksaw Duggan is a man after my father's own heart. My father said there was no way he could stand by and watch something like that be perpetrated on Hacksaw Jim Duggan again. That's exactly why he got out and came out of retirement again. But, of course, there's one man who's extremely vocal.
Well, Joel, Skandar Akbar is certainly never lost for words. His comments are so stinging, they hit you so deeply. He is a very demented man. There's no doubt about that. A desperate man. He had this to say.
So you know who rules the Mid-South area. And you saw just a moment ago that all it takes, Duggan, is just one little incident, and I hate to keep repeating that you already are handicapped. And all it takes is that one more time, and then you will be pushing pencils on the street just like I said you would. I will eliminate you, Duggan, if it takes every dollar I have, and I have unlimited money, unlimited resources. You're dealing with a Godfather. You're dealing with the greatest man ever associated with this business. I made a fool out of Mid-South. I made a fool out of Bill Watts. And now the Cowboy has come out of retirement. Do you understand who you're dealing with, Watts? You'll never get a chance to put those grimy hands on me, because you've got to go through the greatest of all, Kamala. You've got the one-man gang. You got Killer Khan. You got the missing link. You got them all. And I've got the money to bring them down. So if Mid-South sees fit to institute another suspension against me, go right ahead for what's happened a while ago. Go right on ahead, because you won't get to first base. You know, I'm standing here because I went through your American courts. I did it legally, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Your American way is finished, and Watts, you and Duggan will go down just like America.
Well, so tremendous confrontations are brewing in this situation. The stakes are getting extremely high. Akbar has laid his cards on the table. Cowboy Bill Watts and Hacksaw Duggan have made their stand, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, we're about ready to go to the ring in our first big matchup. Here's ring announcer Boyd Pierce.
So, a fun little promo here by Akbar, and I had to pop because he's like, yeah, try to suspend me again. He saw what had happened last time. It's like, he's got a point. Their suspensions mean nothing to him.
Again, never mind. Why the fuck, again, the whole deal was that they couldn't cancel the existing contracts. Are you telling me they're still on the original contracts?
Apparently, Akbar is a smart businessman. He makes contracts for Kamala for like a year in advance, you know.
I still don't.
Kamala's really his only official person at this point, right? Like, I know he's mentioned Killer Khan and, you know, different people, but it's like the only person in Mid-South that he's officially got under a contract is Kamala.
You should bring back Max.
Where is Max? We haven't seen him on either show in quite a while.
I know. I wonder where he's.
Is this the time when he was in the WWF? You think?
Could very well be. Let me see here.
Let's
Matches.
see. I always love that story that Heenan said where like Missing Link was the one that he hated the most. Yeah, he's in the WWF right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
He basically went to Heenan and is like, oh, so when's your flight? And he's like, 8 o'clock. And he's like, oh, my flight's at 6, so you'll have to pick me up at 5 and drop me off. It's like, I don't do that. I'm your manager for 20 minutes a night. He's like, well, my gimmick is I don't talk. I'm like, well, you better learn to talk. Like,
I just watched. I just watched one of those ROH straight shooting things with Cornette and Heenan on YouTube. It was fantastic.
Akbar's a godfather. I wonder who his godchildren are. Like, are they Max's kids? You think maybe Killer Khan's kids?
See, I was thinking like a Charles Wright Godfather.
Oh, okay. I was just watching the clip. Speaking of Cornette, I was watching the clip where he was at Raw in Atlantic City, and the Nation and DOA had a fight, and one of them went through his car, and I had to go and look that up to see who it was, and it was the Godfather. And by the way, and it was primetime Brian Lee that put him through it, so it's not like Brian Lee could claim ignorance that like he had no idea that was Cornette's car.
There's a Jim Ross line on a pay-per-view somewhere in mid-'98 that I always thought was a great line because it was like the time that the Nation was kind of falling apart. And he mentioned Kama Mustafa, and JR goes, folks backstage call him the Godfather or Sir.
I will get to that soon. I don't not remember that one though. He did until he became the Godfather that we all know when we say the Godfather. He really didn't get a lot of pay-per-view time. Like, he would be there when you needed a 8-man tag or a Royal Rumble or something. But it really wasn't until he became the Godfather that he was getting regular pay-per-view time.
I'm pretty sure the show I'm thinking of is like Fully Loaded or Breakdown or maybe Judgment Day 98.
Well, one of those shows, yeah. All right. So we go to the ring for our first match: the Bruiser and Tommy Pritchard versus the Rock and Roll Express. I'll be honest, I was surprised that not only are the Fantastics and the Rock and Rolls in the same territory at the same time, they're on the same show. I don't know. It's like it always feels like those are two teams that like you only have one of them in the territory.
Well, they were both kind of gone for a little while, and then I don't know. Like the Fantastics have been working in Dallas. I don't know how long the Fantastics are staying around this time. We know the Rock and Roll is going to Crockett any week now.
I think the beginning of July.
Yeah, so very soon.
Yeah. My instinct is the Fantastics aren't here any longer, but let me quickly. Oh no, I'm wrong. They're here for let me just see here. I know they're pretty much here until October, and then come back for another run in '86. So I was wrong. They're in and out. They're here for a few months.
Good.
For some reason, I figured they. Mm-hmm.
They had the best fucking TV match on this show in a long time today, so I'm glad they're here.
Yes, they did. Well, I mean, it helps when, like, you have two teams of talented wrestlers wrestling each other.
Yeah.
With all due love and respect to the Bruiser and Tommy Pritchard, this was not that. They referred to the Rock and Rolls as the Charismatic Specialists. I think a young Jeff Hardy was watching this and thought he could come up with a dumber nickname than that.
So, Dr. Tom has dyed his curls blonde. And so when they went to the shot of Boyd to do the ring announcing, you could see Tom from behind. And what the fuck is Kenny Omega doing here?
spoiler, it was not Kenny Omega. How old would Kenny Omega have been here in June of 1985?
I can bet you. Go ahead.
Kenny Omega is about a year and a half old.
I can bet you this is the only wrestling podcast comparing Kenny Omega and Dr. Tom Pritchard.
Yes. But if Kenny Omega comes out on Dynamite next week and starts fluffing his hair like Dr. Tom, then we'll know for a fact that he listens. And I can't imagine why he wouldn't, but you know.
I really want to hear Kenny Omega do a Roddy Piper impersonation.
I mean, they are both Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh God. So we're informed, and this is like the oddest thing, but if the Rock and Roll Express win this match over Tom Pritchard and the Bruiser, then they will get a shot at the tag team titles here on television. So apparently the Bruiser and Tom Pritchard are to DiBiase and Doc as Jim Duggan or Brutus Beefcake were to Hulk Hogan in the late 80s, early 90s. They're the people you work with to get ready to work with the champions. Morton pinned Bruiser with a double drop kick, and I was relieved because I was not expecting Morton and Gibson to win this match over this long-standing team here on Mid-South Television.
Do we still not know who this Bruiser is?
Nope. Did Tommy Pritchard, other than the intro where he thought he was Kenny Omega, did he ever get in the ring? Because when we got to the finish, he dropped down to the ground and didn't even try to help his partner out.
Even he thinks this Bruiser sucks. But no, they went a minute, and I don't think Tom did anything.
Yeah. That, by the way, that's why I called you the Tommy Pritchard, because at least earlier today, he seemed a little apathetic. So
me? Like, well, apathetic? Can't imagine.
I'm like, it could have been one of those days. The Ball Bearing versus White Frankie Lane. Barbarian asks no quarter and gives none. Take a drink. And he's learning to wrestle from Jake Roberts. Now, Trey, do you remember, and I know I have a much better memory of TNA than you do, but do you remember back in TNA 2010 when Brooke Tessmacher was Eric Bischoff's hooker / secretary until they all turned heel and became immortal? Then he fired Brooke and demoted her from hooker to wrestler. Then she had to learn how to wrestle, and the only woman in the Knockouts locker room willing to train her was Lacey Von Erich. I don't know about you, but if Jake was high as a fucking kite and so drunk that he couldn't pick himself off the ground, I would listen to him before I'd listen to Lacey, who I'm sure is a lovely young lady, but I would not, look to her to teach me to be a wrestler.
I wonder what she taught her.
I don't know, but Lacey was gone soon after, so maybe she taught her too well. It's like, well, we don't need two Lacey Von Erichs now. Brooke is just as good as her. Barbarian won with a full Nelson, which we are informed is illegal in amateur wrestling. Even though they do have the 3/4 Nelson and the half Nelson, you cannot do a full Nelson in amateur wrestling. And I actually don't know whether or not it really is illegal in amateur wrestling. I mean, I'd assume it is because, you can't just put people in submission holds.
Too bad.
JR, I don't know what got him at this point. He got super excited to tell us that after the commercial was going to be tag team wrestling. And there certainly was tag team wrestling after the commercial break. It was Wendell Cooley and Private Terry Daniels versus the Dirty White Boys. Because apparently Daniels could only afford to have Sergeant Slaughter as a partner for one show and one show only. And we're informed that Terry Daniels, he will tell people that he does not win a lot of matches, but he's tough and he'll give it his best every time he comes out. What a weird thing to brag about. I don't win very much, but, you have to beat me up extra bad to beat me.
Good for him.
And apparently the White Boys did just that because Len pinned Daniels after the double team Canadian shoulder breaker elbow drop finish.
It was pretty good for a whole 4 minutes.
PB champion, The Snowman versus Pat Rose. Now, Dirty Dutch and Shoe Baby are at ringside to watch. We are never going to find out how Dutch got Shoe Baby back, will we?
No.
Jim Cornette's been without his green jacket for about 6 weeks over on the other show. But Dirty Dutch, he just walked over and I guess took it back. And Snowman didn't try to stop him.
Yeah.
Snowman now does the Ollie Shuffle, which did not stop him from falling on his ass when he gave Pat Rose an elbow drop. Or not an elbow drop, an elbow. A standing elbow caused Snowman to fall on his ass. And he won with the thumb. Dutch was not happy that a man who never wins lost, so he got in the ring and bellowed that it's not over yet. So Snowman and Carl Fergie entered the ring, and eventually nothing happened.
Yeah, it was the tension was you could have cut the tension with a knife, and in the end, nothing happened.
Now, do you think Dutch can carry Snowman to an acceptable TV match? Because I imagine that's coming up soon.
Probably. I don't know. Probably.
I mean, as I've mentioned, Snowman is not long for this world. Thank God. Let me see. By the way, do you know last week was apparently the 300th episode of Smoky Mountain Wrestling? Wow, of Mid-South Wrestling.
I did notice that. Yeah, when it was.
We made a big deal about it, obviously. Let's see here. So Snowman's last match is in 3 weeks on this show. This is episode 301. He has his last match on episode 304.
Who, the Snowman?
What was that?
The Snowman?
Yes. So Snowman, we hardly knew ye. Thank God. So tag team champs Ted DiBiase and Dr. Steve Williams versus the Fantastics. And I wrote, what screwy finish do we get here? Because I could not imagine that anybody was getting pinned in this match. I figured we're getting some sort of count out or disqualification, or 10 people are going to hit the ring for a brawl, and Jim Duggan's going to come out with his board, followed eventually by Bill Watts. But that was the expectation of this match. Now, before the bell rang, the Fantastics did do their intro, and a girl in a Mickey Mouse shirt at ringside was losing her shit for the Fantastics music. And Bobby and Tommy learned their lesson from last week. If you remember last week, we talked about instead of going inside the barricades, they went outside the barricades and had to walk through all the fans around the ring in order to get to their match against the Dirty White Boys that ended last week's show. This week, they went inside the barricade, but they got fucking mobbed. I did not realize how many girls and women were at these Mid-South shows, but every single one of them ran up there and got to hug and kiss Bobby and Tommy. And all I could think is, how was Terry Taylor, the only wrestler to get mono around this time? I guess it's who you kiss, and maybe all the fans had to take mono tests before being allowed in the arena.
I wonder if you can still wrestle when you have like the clap.
I'd have to ask Slotty Ant on that.
Because like fucking the girls that these guys were fucking like the Rock and Roll Express had to have both got the clap like 6 times a year.
6 times a year. Okay. Oh God. This was obviously well before you came on because the Fantastics were in Smoky Mountain, but it was Bobby and Jackie Fulton, And one of their local promos that they replayed a lot was them talking about how they can't wait to come to all the towns and kiss all the pretty girls. Which, if you ask Jericho, there was no kissing at all.
Well, there was that one in the video, but I don't know how old she was.
So I gotta tell you, Tommy took a turnbuckle so hard that I thought it was gonna break, and especially a second later when he dodges out of the way of Doc going in for a corner. But thankfully, one less thing to worry about. The ring did not break here. I was so ready to tell off Joel because Joel starts talking about how the Fantastics. Well, he said they were the American Tag Team Champions. They are the American Tag Team Champions, but that's nitpicking. I was ready to go off on him. Yeah. Well, were implies that they no longer are.
They were, and they still are.
Yes. But I was ready to go off on him because I know there's some overlap between the Mid-South and world-class audience. You know, it's been talked about how if you lived on the Texas-Louisiana border, you got both shows, especially. But however, you can't just say that they're the American Tag Team Champions and not say what that is. But Joel did actually say what that was. So good for him. And allowed me to get through this without screaming at Joel. So good for Joel. While referee Randy Anderson shoved Rogers out of the ring after a double team, DiBiase dragged Fulton outside and slammed him rib first into the post. Fulton, as you might recall last week, was wearing DDP rib tape that never gets explained why. DiBiase misses middle rope elbow, and Rogers got the hot tag. And it looked like he potatoed Doc with a few punches there. And I don't know, of all the people I'd want to potato in wrestling, Dr. Death is very low on that list. And the finish was a double cheat. DiBiase used a loaded glove on Rogers. Doc used a loaded forearm pad on Fulton and then pinned Rogers. So I know it's technically a screwy finish because they cheated to win. I wasn't expecting a pinfall at all. But as Trey said, this was a hell of a little match. It went like 5 or 6 minutes. And it was really, really good. It's the best match we've seen on Mid-South in months.
They went 8.5 minutes, and this had to have been the best Mid-South TV match since, I don't know, probably one of the times they did the Midnight and the Rock and Roll.
Probably, yeah. And I'll save my ranting, I guess, for a little bit later, because I'll save my ranting for next. So did you have anything else you want to say about this match before I rant?
No, it was very good. Go on.
Okay. So I guess I'll wait to see who and what this is. But we've had an influx of some low-quality talent in Mid-South the past few months. I'm not sure why, but like we're getting, we got the Champion, and we got the Snowman, and we're getting the Bruiser, which I know he's a jobber, but still, it's like we're getting a lot of subpar talent coming through the territory, replacing our really good talent that we had in the territory. And they tell us during the next match that a man named Zambui will be here next week. Now, I'm assuming this is Ray Candy. I don't know this for a fact, but like I think of the Zambui Express. Ray Candy is like 400 or 500 pound, African American gentleman. It may not be him, but that's who I'm thinking it is. And he's not exactly gonna light the world on fire either.
He does not have Zambui listed as an alias, and he does not appear to have. Wait, hold on. I was looking at 84. Okay, 85. He is in Mid-South. Okay, I think it is him, but they just his name is going to be Kareem Muhammad.
Okay. So yeah, we'll see next week. But yeah, we need some better talent here, ladies and gentlemen. I know Bill Dundee's been out of Memphis for a while, so he may not be able to go steal their best guys. But yeah, we'll see how long Doc and DiBiase and Duggan can carry the territory. So
are you
what was happening? around that announcement was Terry Taylor versus the returning Edcar Boo Thomas.
Yes.
Well, look who's back. And Boo Thomas is also here. Now, Boo, I think he got injured in a house show match because he didn't just, go somewhere else for a little bit. He just stopped wrestling shortly after that atrocious fuck up of a match he had with Steve Casey, where he fell through the ropes and landed on his head. And Taylor won with a 5-arm. The good news is Thomas did not fall through the ropes. The gooder news is that this was a loser leaves town match. No more Edcar Boo Thomas. I think I forgot to look. He either goes to Florida or Kansas. Either way, he goes to the territory we send people to die.
He goes to Kansas City, and then he quits the business in early '86. Look.
Oh, darn.
I think, he kind of had a good presence and a wrestling base. I think he just quit wrestling before he did enough to get good. Like maybe if they had sent him, or if he had gone to Florida instead of fucking Kansas City, maybe he might have turned out different.
So, the worst job match we ever had on this show was Paul Orndorff's last match in the territory, where he took on Hacksaw Higgins. And Hacksaw Higgins, among other things, no-sold Paul Orndorff's finish, kicked out at 3.1, and Orndorff beat his fucking ass for that, and smacked him in the locker room afterwards. And Larry Higgins stuck with it. He was around for a little bit. He went to Kansas City. He paid his penance, because apparently when you suck in Mid-South, where we send you is Kansas City. And he had a little bit of a career. He also had a couple of runs. He had a couple of tours with New Japan. And just scrolling quickly through the results, won more than he lost over in New Japan. He had a little bit of a run in '86 Florida, and finished out his career, from what I can see, doing jobs in WCW 90-91. So if you stick it out, even the worst jobbers can at least improve to the point to not be embarrassing. But yeah, I imagine Kansas City probably also wasn't paying much, and he could probably make more money doing whatever his shoot job was.
I hate that we don't have footage of some of these matches. Just imagine Edcar Thomas versus Rufus R. Jones.
Do you really want to see footage of that?
Oh, yeah. Harley Race against Edcar Thomas. Wow. Rocky Johnson, Marty Jannetty. Oh, listen to this fucking 6-man tag. Marty Jannetty, Rocky Johnson, and Rufus R. Jones defeated Edcar Thomas, Samoan Joe, I don't know what the fuck that is, it doesn't have a link, and Tarzan Godo.
Holy fuck. Who owns the Kansas City tape library? Whoever has the Kansas City tape library, we need you to go on a hunt, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god, this might be even... Masamichi Fuyuki, Mike George, and Rufus R. Jones defeated Edcar Thomas, Mr. Pogo, and Ricky Starr. By the way, that Masamichi Fuyuki is Hiromichi Kodo Samson Fuyuki, the famous Fuyuki.
Wasn't Masachono in World Class?
I think he worked Kansas City. I don't know. I think he worked Kansas City and Continental when he was on Excursion.
There's something funny about seeing New Japan stars and Japanese stars in general doing some of the shit they had to do in America. And not just Okada and Naito and it was Okada that had to wear the Lone Ranger mask. I was like,
yeah,
it wasn't Okada. No, it was Okada. Or Hiroshi Tanahashi having to do a 3-minute ladder match with Abyss on Impact.
I don't even remember.
I'll tell you what, Do you say you don't remember that?
I don't remember him having a 3-minute ladder match with Abyss on Impact. No.
If we make it to that point of this podcast somehow, we will have you on to discuss that match.
That's better.
I think like it was him and I want to say Volador Jr. for some reason.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, I remember this now. Okay. Abyss and Matt Morgan, Team 3D, LAX, and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Volador Jr.
in a 3-minute ladder match on TV. And I think Tanahashi also at one point became the number 3 contender to the X Division title, which I'm sure Mr. President Tanahashi, was very disappointed he never got his title shot.
This says 7:54, but I'm betting that included a commercial break.
I could also be exaggerating, but like also, is that really the best you could come up with for Hiroshi Tanahashi? I guess when they had Nakamura, the best they could come up with him was to do an explosion match. So I don't know if that's better or worse.
Tanahashi also had an explosion match.
Yes, but at least he made it to Impact.
He had a pay-per-view match with AJ Styles.
Yes, 2006's Final Resolution. Yeah. But he also had it was like an 8-way X Division elimination match or a 10-way or something on a pay-per-view. And it might have been his last match too, because it was November of 2008. And of course, he had to go back to Japan in time for the Tokyo Dome show. Where the hell were we? Oh yeah, I scrolled up and down so much. By the way, Steve Casey, for those wondering what the hell happened to him, he's also gone. He may be hurt because Cage Match only has record of him having 2 matches between now and October, and they're both in world class. And then he goes to Germany. It's also very possible that he's just wrestling in Europe at this point, and Europe isn't always great with the best result reporting at the time.
I was confused because I was like, what are you talking about? He was on fucking the other show, and then I remembered that's Scott Casey.
Yes. Who's also not to be confused with Sean Casey, who's on the other show.
There's a lot of S. Caseys in our world of late.
There are. Oh, God. Thankfully, I think 2 of them are gone. I don't know how long Scott lasts. The North American champion, the champion with Eddie Gilbert versus superstar Bill Dundee. I really hope that when he loses the belt, he's still called the champion.
Yeah. Hope so.
So, oh my God. I could not remember if Bill Dundee wears short tights or long tights. And his legs are so fucking pale. It took me longer than it should have for me to realize he was wearing short tights, and those are just his pale ass fucking legs.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So what would happen, you think, if the champion, Gino Hernandez, and Chris Jericho had a 3-way match?
Who? I'm sorry?
The champion, Gino Hernandez, and Chris Jericho.
The champion, Gino Hernandez, and Chris Jericho.
So the champion, your champion, and Le Champion.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. Dundee got a sleeper on, which upset Eddie Gilbert because no one's ever considered using a sleeper hold on the champion before. Gilbert was on the apron for way too long here, and the referee did not give a fuck until he gave a fuck. Champion kicked Dundee off of a roll-up into Gilbert, who somehow threw a weapon at Champion, who put it in his mask and won with a headbutt.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. Do you think the Champion and his wife had a baby, and that's how we got Todd Champion?
I think I made that joke before, or a similar joke.
It's probable. We're informed next week it's Doc and DiBiase versus the Rock and Roll Express for the tag belts. And, I was worried because if the Rock and Rolls had lost that match earlier, would there have been a hole in next week's format, or would Tommy Pritchard and the Bruiser got in the match?
How many fucking teams are we still waiting for to get tag title matches that they should have gotten based on wins and losses?
If we went to Smoky Mountain, there's like 6 teams that defeated the Bruise Brothers by disqualification when they kicked too much ass. when they were the champions.
Cornette should have brought the Bruise Brothers back to feud with the Gangstas.
I don't know if they had like a feud, but they were in ECW at the same time because there's the 4-way tag match where the Gangstas win the belts from the Eliminators, where it's those two, the Eliminators, and the Samoans.
Which Samoans?
I think it's Rosie and maybe Samu. I don't remember who it was, but I don't even remember the Harris's. Other than that, I don't remember the Harris's even being in ECW, but I remember that 4-way match. Because I remember that's when the Gangstas won the belts.
Okay.
I guess I was about to say that was right before they went to WWF, but it's like a year beforehand because it was 96 when they were in there. Are Ron and Don Harris like the ultimate example of people who, like, they got shot after shot after shot because they were big, because everyone thought they'd be the ones to figure out the mystery of Ron and Don Harris, and it never worked.
To jump in. So before we started recording this show, I was watching the TNA shows that we're going to cover this week, and Jeff Jarrett does something to Vince Russo that made me very happy, and then later he was talking about it, and then he referred to the DOA, and I was so fucking confused for a minute. I'm like, what do the Disciples of Apocalypse have to do with this? And then I remembered that the TNA's like on-air authority figure was the director of authority.
Yep. By the way, the Harris's actually had 2 runs in ECW, and somehow I blanked the first one on my mind, even though I saw it more recently. They were in 94 for a few months, and they're actually in 96 for a decent amount of time. But their last match was that 4-way I was thinking of. Mac Daddy Kane and Sammy Silk. I was right. It was Rosie and Samu.
Oh.
Go me, go me, go me. Oh God, I know you have. I know you gave up on the Oh My God cast, but honestly, some of this stuff you should be happy you did give it up because ECW 94 is not. Go ahead.
I can't be the person in charge of organizing a podcast.
No worries. Maybe one day if we run out of stuff to talk about, we'll start that one up ourselves. So yeah, there was no promos except for that one Akbar promo in Mid-South. It was all wrestling. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It wasn't bad wrestling. We had a really good match in there too. It just made me think about the bad old days of Ernie Ladd, where we just get the intro, and then nothing but matches. The worst would be like when the main event would be first or second, it would go 3 minutes, and then so we'd have 30 minutes of enhancement matches the rest of the show.
Yeah, at least I don't know. It started off kind of weak, but as the show went, we ended up getting some decent stuff.
Definitely. Plus, I mean, I'm looking forward to that Rock and Roll Doc and DiBiase match next week.
I bet that's going to be a Lulu.
I mean, it may be a loser leaves town match, but because we've said, they're going to be in Crockett really soon because they're the NWA. I think they're the NWA Tag Champs going into the Great American Bash, the Charlotte Stadium one that they did that was so successful they made it a tour the next year.
Yeah.
Oh. So, hopping across the border over into Texas, feels like the first time we watched World Class. I guess we didn't watch it last week because there was no episode that exists. But it feels like it's been forever since we watched this show. Let's go to the intro here with Bill Mercer.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling, the major league of professional wrestling seen around the world. We're originating from the famous Sportatorium right here in Dallas, Texas. I'm Bill Mercer, and it's great to have you with us, and we've got a world-class card for you. Just get this. Scott Casey meets Rip Oliver. We've got Gino Hernandez, the Texas heavyweight champion, and John Mantell. The Fantastics are here, and our main event. Well, it's going to shake the old sportatorium. It's Kerry Von Erich and the one-man gang, along with Gary Hart standing by, in a rematch. That's all coming up next here on World Class Championship Wrestling.
It's because I had insanely low expectations for this card based on Mercer telling us. I liked this week's episode of World Class.
Yeah, it wasn't. It really wasn't bad. It was pretty good, actually.
Yeah. And maybe because I finally accepted the World Class format in my head and why it never was and never will be the same format as Mid-South. And maybe it's because we actually get a little bit of talking here in the middle.
Yeah, this show was paced better because we had some talking, and it was Jim Cornette talking, which is the best talking you can have on a wrestling show. And then, none of the matches this week went too long. That was the thing.
Yes. They gave the right amount of time to the people who could have mid-length matches and keep 26 people entertained and involved. So that helped.
Yeah.
I will say, though, when Mercer gets on his intro, we go to commercial. Jacko Victory and Kelly Kiniski are getting in the ring. So I'm like, okay, let's see if this is one of those Easter eggs where you see people in the ring, and then we go to commercial, come back, and it's entirely different people. What the hell ever happened to Jack Victory and Kelly Kiniski? Well, it was the right people this time because Jack Victory and Kelly Kiniski, the Canadian Kelly Kiniski and Jack Victory versus the American Tag Team Champions, the Fantastics, with flowers and belts. But before they got announced, we had a very special announcement. I didn't timestamp this, but Trey, do you want to tell us who the special guests on tonight's World Class show were?
Oh, I didn't fucking write that down. The crew from a department store somewhere in Dallas.
80 employees of Mervin's department store are here in the cheap seats tonight, and they got shouted out. Now I was going to ask you, is Mervin's still a thing?
Not to my knowledge.
I'm not kicking myself. We've been through this. You've never seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right? It's on your watch list, but you've never watched it.
Yeah, that's one of those shows that I feel like I would really enjoy if I watched it, but I just haven't.
You really would enjoy it. But my God, there's a character on there named Charles, and his family are all they're the quirky people, but it's not annoying quirky. It's not Sheldon Cooper quirky, especially because they're only on a handful of episodes. But anyway, one episode, the squad makes a visit to their house and they need clothes, and so they all have to dress like Charles's family, which is very drab and comedic to look at people wearing these clothes. And I could swear they said they got it from Mervin's. So,
maybe they did.
There's probably a Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan out there screaming at me saying they didn't say Mervin's, they said something else. But in my mind, I'm hearing Charles scream Mervin's. So. Anyway, the good news is Bobby and Tommy did not get assaulted walking to the ring here. Or if they did, that got edited out of the show. We're informed that the holidays are coming up, and I was disappointed that Bill didn't announce a Juneteenth Star Wars. Instead, it's just the usual Independence Day Star Wars. Maybe Iceman would have gotten a world title shot on the Juneteenth Star Wars. We'll get to it later, but they do the usual weekly announcement that they're going to the Middle East in August. And of course, I write like I do every week. Don't go, Mike. You're better off staying home. But there's something that comes up later on that makes me double check what episode was I watching. Did you pick up on it?
Yes, I think so. Because I didn't notice the thing that you just said, and then I leapt to another conclusion based on the other thing.
Yeah. So I got a feeling we're talking about the same thing, but we'll get to that when we get to that. They did a reversal of an Irish whip spot where Bobby was supposed to backdrop Tommy onto his feet, but Tommy didn't rotate all the way over. Other than that, this was a fun match, and I don't know why it's taken me this long to accept the world-class formatting. The bi-weekly Sportatorium shows are their big bi-weekly shows in Dallas. So it makes sense as to why they're putting on longer matches and more competitive matches, even though sometimes they're competitive matches against jobbers, than Mid-South is, because Mid-South is just doing a TV taping. World Class, this is their bi-weekly event.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
This is Monday Night Raw, before Monday Night Raw was a thing.
But I thought no one did competitive matches on TV until Nitro started. But, oh well. So they get the heat on Rogers. Shockingly, Bobby Fulton, who's not to be confused with Tommy Fulton, whoever that is, got the save. Ironically, the heels did the same backdrop spot, except they did it on purpose, with one of them falling on their ass. And then Fulton pinned Victory with a Thez press. Now, the Thez press is like one of the gayest moves in wrestling. You leap up, and like it's a legitimate move. Like if this is done legitimately, you are hooking their arms in the crook of your leg, holding it down for a pinfall. It's a legitimate move that could legitimately pin somebody with it. I bet, even though I've never watched Lou Thez wrestle, I bet it was done by Lou Thez, hence the name. However, it's been known as the dick in the face spot, because that's what it looks like. You're putting your dick in the other guy's face. It did not make it any better that Bobby Fulton was humping Jack Victory's face during the pinfall.
See, Steve Austin did it right, because he did the Thez press as a setup to punching you in the face.
Yeah, but I mean, if it is a legitimate shoot move, like it is something that if you did it as a shoot, you could pin somebody with that if you do it right. It just looks very homosexual. And I'm sure Pride Month was not a thing in June of 1985, but Bobby Fulton shouting out his LGBT brethren here in Dallas, Texas in June of 85.
I put Pride, I don't know if it was a thing in Dallas in 85, but it was probably a thing in fucking San Francisco by then, right?
I don't know if it was an official Pride Month. And I'll be honest, it probably has something to do with San Francisco, because to me, I'm waiting for us to move Pride Month to like October, so the weather isn't fucking insanely hot all the time.
Oh yeah, I'm proud of you, but I can't go out in June in fucking Houston.
Yeah. And my friend got a really bad sunburn yesterday, and I pointed out to her that when you wear a big giant rainbow cape, it's like you don't have shoulders, so your shoulders can't get burned, which is my strategy every Pride.
There you go.
So up next was a 3-part interview with Jim Cornette where he talked a little bit and then we'd see a clip. The first 2 really weren't noteworthy. The first one showed the same fucking clip we've already seen from that one Fort Worth show that we already saw. But then the third one, we've seen one fucking Fort Worth show and they've replayed the same clip 2 or 3 times now. If we wouldn't have seen that show, they wouldn't have replayed that. You know that, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I do want to play the last one here. It's Jim Cornette, and I don't know, I feel like they should have aired the clip before Cornette ranted and raved, but Cornette talks about a recent incident in the ring with Sunshine. Let's go to that.
Now, the most embarrassing thing, that little witch Sunshine has everybody convinced that she threw me down and beat me up. And I'll tell you, the only thing that happened, I went over to talk to her. I tripped on a loose mat cover and I fell down and she kicked me while I was down, because no woman can beat a man up. And Sunshine, I'm going to prove that to you one of these days, because men are superior and you're jealous. You just can't face it. I hate your guts, Sunshine.
I do like the first 2, like he was the normal, sufficiently angry Jim Cornette and talking about how his mama gave him the green jacket and all that. And this one, now that he's talking about Sunshine beating him up, he gets upset and he's crying, and I just love it. You know, it's Jim Cornette at his best.
Yes, it was tremendous.
So they show the clip from a different Fort Worth show. So, hey, we're getting more Fort Worth clips, I guess. This time, Oliver pinned himself in a match against Scott Casey. So Scott Casey actually won. Cornette went face-to-face with Sunshine, who gave him a hip toss and then threw him out of the ring. I was this. Cornette got high on that hip toss. I was not expecting that.
No, yeah. It was fucking Cornette always like for somebody who was like never fucking trained to wrestle, he always did what he had to do well for like the manager stuff.
Definitely. So we go to commercial, we come back, and now Jim Cornette and his entire crew are at ringside and talking to one Bill Mercer. Let's go to that now.
We're at ringside with Jim Cornette, and you've got the whole crew. What do you plan to do?
This is the
Try to
best
get the
looking
jacket?
assemblage of men you've ever seen in your life. Let me tell you something. My Midnight Express aren't going to interfere in this match in any way, shape, or form, and neither am I. Rip Oliver's fixed to beat Scott Casey's brains out, but we're going to get my jacket back tonight. I promise you, we are going to get that jacket back from Casey, and that's all I got to say.
That's all you got to say, huh? Well,
We got a match to win, and believe me, of all the things that I've ever done, I couldn't have done it without me.
Yeah, the green jacket's going to be over there.
Hey, don't worry about the green jacket. Like I said, we're going to get it back tonight. And Rip, are you going to beat Casey's brains out? Okay, hold this. We got a match to win.
You got to take off. Okay, I got two microphones. You got to win the jacket, all right?
Get it one way or the other.
Well, they're in the ring. And you can imagine that Scott Casey is going to look over his shoulder with the whole crew down here. You know what Scott said about the fact that he was always going to be watching for Mr. Cornette, but he wished Jim would just come on down and try to get it away from him. I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know why. I really want to keep playing Mercer talking there. Because you never see that. Like even at this time, where like Mercer just keeps talking as everything's going on around him. So yeah, and it was what it was. They're wanting to get that green jacket back. Oliver somehow thinks he's going to win the green jacket in this match. But either way, we go to the match. It's Rip Oliver with Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express versus Scott Casey. I wrote Goldilocks, so I really got my TNA thing fucked up here. Goldilocks was not here. Sunshine was here, though, and she had the Great Kabuki in her corner. And Oliver helpfully pointed out that Kabuki does not have a manager's license, which is true. The Great Kabuki does not have a manager's license. And then referee Ricky Hazard had drunk Mark Lawrence point out that if anyone interferes, their man will be disqualified. Even Mercer pointed out that did not need to be pointed out. You know, we like giving drunk Mark Lawrence all the shit in the world for some of the stuff he says. You could tell even he knew, like, I do not need to make this announcement, but referee Ricky Hazard is asking me to say this.
Well, stop clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. Mercer saluted Jonesboro, Arkansas for watching World Class on KAIT Channel 8. The finish saw Cornette thwack Casey with the racket, and Oliver got the pin to become the linear TV champion. Cornette got his jacket back for approximately 2.8 seconds before Casey stole it back from him. Drunk Mark Lawrence was at ringside and was tasked with reporting the winner, and he said that the crippler Rip Oliver is apparently the winner of the bout. That's exactly how he said that.
Yeah. So Jonesboro, Arkansas, that was a Memphis town. So they got Memphis TV, and then we know they got the World Class Syndicated show, and then they might have gotten Mid-South out of Little Rock too, but that may be too far. So the people of Jonesboro were living it up in the 80s.
They were loving their Southern wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, you're probably going to smack me because you'd be like, they're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. But are they close enough that they could have gotten the San Antonio show too?
Well, the San Antonio show was on cable.
Well, that was before. They've been off cable for a while.
Oh, okay. I can't imagine that San Antonio is like San Antonio is a good 3 hours west of me, and I'm in Texas.
Yes, you are. All right. So Texas champion and your champion, Gino Hernandez, versus the pride of Monte County, Texas, Johnny Mantell, who we haven't seen in a little while. So, you know, we can't miss you until you're gone. And Johnny Mantell decided to be gone for a little while, at least from this TV show.
Appreciate that about him.
Now, the good news is, not only did we have this match, we still had another match still to go, and there was not enough time to do a 15-minute time limit draw. So no matter what was going to happen here, I knew this was not going to the 15-minute time limit. We were reminded that Gino's partners in various tag team crimes, Chris Adams, is the American champion, which thankfully they reminded us because I had no fucking memory of who the American champion was. And then the Von Erichs are the 6-man tag team champions. Again, lather, rinse, repeat, no clue. You know, I believe them.
World class titles are kind of like CMLL titles. They're like second or third priority.
They're going to say like the WWE 24/7 title. If someone comes out on TV with it, you're like, okay, they're the champion. I'll be honest, when they created the 24/7 title, especially like when their first couple title changes, like there was one on a plane, I think at one point, where it's like, I was thinking like it's going to be like the DDT open metal weight title. And that may have been like the thought process of it, but it not nearly as fun.
Yeah.
A star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame did not win the WWE 24/7 title.
That would have been great though.
Yes. So the Von Erichs have revenge in their heart for what Gino did to Kevin's car that he won at the David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions. Johnny hit a jumping knee lift on Gino that Mercer called a drop kick. And despite that, Gino won with a diving elbow drop, dropping Mantell's career record to 2 wins, 3 losses, and 719 draws.
Oh, we can make our Johnny Mantell jokes, but the match was good at least.
Yeah. Definitely. Johnny Mantell is a very, very adequate wrestler.
Yes.
You know? And he rarely does anything embarrassing in the ring, but it's like, again, it's just a running joke. Johnny Mantell's wrestling, so get out the stopwatch because we're going to have a time limit draw.
Mm-hmm.
At least Chris Adams has graduated from having to do time limit draws to him constantly. Main event time. Kerry Von Erich versus the one-man gang with permanently bald Gary Hart. Now, if you remember back at the DVE MPOC, Kerry put his father's health on the line against Gary's permanent hair growth. And this is when they tell us Mike Von Erich is home with an injured shoulder and they're debating whether or not he should have surgery. I literally double-checked the date of the show when he said that.
I didn't know what the date of the Israel tour was, so I just assumed that the Israel tour has happened already.
No, it's not till August.
Yeah, I didn't. You said they said that earlier, and I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is karma because Mike Von Erich is not really hurt. You know, spoiler alert in case you couldn't pick up on that, but that. Fritz fucking karma'd his boy having a major surgery and ended up with toxic shock syndrome. I shouldn't laugh, but can you imagine if they had done something like, in the angle in the next few weeks that Mike does have surgery, but there's complications involved? Oh, God. I'd like to think that does not happen because of all the world-class documentaries I've ever seen, and all the people talking about this. This is not one bit of karma that they've ever brought up. So, now the one-man gang is a very large man. He's about 6'5", 6'6", 450 pounds, and he does the big monster heel spots. And when he does them with any average man, they go flying, and he looks big and strong. However, he knows where his bread is buttered, brother. And he flew like a much smaller man for Kerry Von Erich here.
Yeah, he did.
Gary at one point screamed for him to do a clothesline, so he did. And I mean, hey, Kerry sold the hell out of that one, so maybe Gary should call more spots for a good old moon here. I got that backwards. Kerry got on the claw, and Gary got in the ring, which is typically a disqualification in world class because as annoying as it can sometimes be, getting in the ring is a disqualification when you're a manager. However, Kerry throws him back out of it, and Bronco Lubitsch did not call for the bell. So Gang, to prevent himself from having to do a job to Kerry, pulled out his conveniently placed chain and hit Kerry with it for the official disqualification. After the match, Kerry rolled out of the way of a splash and sent Gang out of the ring with a drop kick. Moon got back in, so Kerry bloodied him up. Eventually, the men in slacks broke it up.
The men in slacks.
Yes.
This was good. Like, everybody was Kerry had his wits about him, and Gang was working his ass off. And at one point, Bill said that can Kerry Von Erich repeat his victory from Texas Stadium? And I was thinking that was about as strong a hook as who was it that wanted to get more revenge?
We see that a lot. But probably Kerry or Kevin. They more than likely wanted to get more revenge. Probably on the Freebirds. Maybe on Gino and Chris.
All right, whatever. They did all that, like, you fucking bloodied the guy and shit, but you can't just pin him. I mean, whatever, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, during Gino's match earlier, they said that Gino hid his car so Kevin could not find it, because Kevin has threatened to hurt Gino's car the way that Gino hurt Kevin's. This I mean, it is a never-ending feud. It's going on since what, October at this point?
Yeah.
But there is an end in sight, ladies and gentlemen. There's an end in sight. Next week, by the way, it's going to be Kerry and Kabuki, of all people, versus what I wrote, Gink and Chris. I'm pretty sure it's Gino and Chris, not Gink.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if Gink shows up or not.
I told Trey earlier that I could not spell while writing my notes out this week.
You sure can.
No. I was actually sitting on my porch watching the shows today. I had my headset on, so I wasn't. Pardon me for that. It's stupid cough that's gone away. It's decided to come back for the end of the show. I was watching the shows on the porch earlier today. I had my headset on, so I didn't pollute all the innocent people of Southeast Massachusetts of having to listen to world-class championship wrestling.
You might have made some friends. Might have had an older person who remembered watching World Class on syndication in Boston.
Maybe they went to the Boston World Class show from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Actually, the only people because most people went to the beach, so like they'd driven away. So I only saw 6 people while I was outside for like 3 or 4 hours, and 3 of them were my neighbor, her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's kid, who were outside running around playing. And then the other 3 were a pregnant woman and 2 family members. And who knows? Maybe I could have made friends with the pregnant woman. Maybe she was a huge Gino Hernandez fan.
Who wouldn't be?
Anybody who's never seen Gino Hernandez. It's pretty much the list.
She probably got pregnant when Gino Hernandez looked at her.
Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. I'm trying to think of anything else to say, right? I know that there is some sort of wrestling news going on. Apparently, Jack Perry's AEW contract is up. And he's negotiating for a new contract with AEW. And to me, it's like, I think it's a dollars and cents thing, because not even keeping CM Punk in mind, I don't see Jack Perry ever going to WWE. It's like a Young Bucks thing. It's not that he couldn't succeed in WWE if given the chance, but it's like the creative freedom that Jack Perry has in AEW, he would not get in WWE. And I don't know the man. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's very important to him. And so I don't see Jack Perry going anywhere unless he decides he just doesn't want to wrestle for a while.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere either.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I guess, the big news. Oh, so Dominion was earlier today. I know we talked about the G1, and I know you dinged me earlier today when you were watching it. Did you watch the whole show?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you broke up a little bit there. You said yes?
Yes.
Okay. So Yota Tsuji, two-time IWGP champion, ending the reign of the youngest IWGP champion ever, Callum Newman. Now, you have been watching a lot more New Japan than I have. I've pretty much gotten to the point with New Japan where I pretty much watch the Tokyo Dome and the G1. So you obviously know a little bit more than I do. Was this surprising to you at all?
Absolutely not. It's what I expected.
Yeah. I did have to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That is very much a Gato booking trope.
Yeah. I love New Japan when I do watch it for the most part. But like there's always nonstop title changes where it's like, especially like now where I'm just not watching a lot of the shows. Like the only champion I know is the IWGP champion. Or like when an AEW guy comes out wearing a New Japan title belt. Like I saw like Takeshita was still the TV champion. I'm like, oh, I'm was honestly surprised he was still the TV champion. Like I know Andrade lost.
Yeah,
every other title change.
Sonata had stolen the TV belt, and Takeshita just got it back.
The very awkwardly built TV title.
I like it. It's different.
It is different. And actually, like I remember when WWE first brought like the version of the title they have now, but like with the bigger letters that say champion on the bottom. I was like, that is a very weird looking title design. But like Randy Orton then won it, and it's like they made that belt picturing Randy Orton wearing it. Because like it fit perfectly on Randy Orton. And I've yet to figure out like who or what they had in mind with the TV title belt. And like again, it's like it's a different belt, I'll tell you that. You know, there's a lot of belts that are very interchangeable where you see it and you have to think for a second what that belt is. I have never thought that with the New Japan World Television title. It is very obviously that's what that belt is. It's clunky, I'll say.
Very distinct. We had our announcement of the G1 blocks for the most part. There's still some X's.
Yeah, they're doing some play-in matches. And I know the tag team champions took up 2 spots.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't look it thoroughly. I'm more surprised that the former tag champs aren't already in it. I figured that would have made, and they probably will be. They'll probably be in the play-in matches.
Yeah, surely. Well, that was the deal when they announced the blocks. They announced that whoever won the tag title match between the Knockout Brothers and Great O'Khan and Hanare would be entered into the G1. And yeah, Taichi challenged Yuto Ice, or said that he wanted a G1 play-in match against Yuto Ice, so maybe that will be one of the matches.
And I guess it's Taichi's way to get out of flying into America.
Yeah, I expect both Yuto Ice and Oscar to end up in the G1.
Yeah. Now there may be an injury replacement, and this is from Brian Alvarez, who wrote this on X. Callum Newman has injured his shoulder, likely on the belly to belly that did into the corner. It's believed to be a dislocation, but he'll be getting an MRI. So yeah. I'm also interested in Gabe Kidd, because Gabe Kidd got announced for the G1, but he hasn't wrestled since Dynasty. It took me a second, like the AEW April pay-per-view. He got hurt there. And, you know, he got pulled out of the G1 last year after having an exceptional first match, and then he got pulled out due to injury.
Yeah,
so hopefully he's good to go.
Yeah, I think it's like he was all the guy who loves New Japan, and now he's the guy who hates New Japan. But it's like everybody knows, and it's probably a make good for him. And he is apparently better. He did appear. He attacked Shota Umino after that match.
So you excited for Dynamite tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow. That's 3 days from now as we're recording this. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't know if any matches have been announced, but I'm sure they'll be great.
I don't. So you and I had. I was sending you some not real spoiler stuff, but some stuff off of last Wednesday's Dynamite because I figured you didn't care as much because you're going to Dynamite this week and knew that you were going to be jumping into current day storylines. So I don't know if you want to know what's been announced so far for both shows.
Okay, the main event, Hazuki against Mercedes Moné. I'm good. That's all I need.
Okay. Because they're doing it's Dynamite and Collision, right? It's not 2 separate days, right?
I believe so. Oh, are these? Okay. 12-man tag with Mark Briscoe and MJF leading teams, and it's Forbidden Door season. Maybe some New Japan guys will end up around for that.
So actually, I was about to tell you that that's not quite true, that they were announcing their teams for the cage match at Forbidden Door. But nope, I just read that before doing the cage match at Forbidden Door, the same 12 people are having a standard 12-man tag match on Wednesday.
What
that's
the
also
fuck?
when you're going to find out both men's teams.
What has Forbidden Door become? Like, it was my favorite show for the first couple of years, and now it's like what? Why does this fucking cage match need to be a thing at Forbidden? It's fucking stupid. This is the easiest show in the world to book, and then
I mean, they've even last year, taking out they did not have much New Japan guys last year at all, if I remember correctly. And the year I went, when it was Swerve and Ospreay in the main event, there was a decent amount of New Japan guys, but even then it was very pushed down was the New Japan guys. And I know they're well, now there's CMLL, there's Stardom. And I don't know, and then I've got nothing against CMLL, I've got nothing against Stardom. The fact is we get a lot of CMLL people and we got a lot of Stardom people just normally. I know we do get New Japan guys a decent amount, but it doesn't feel like we're always getting New Japan guys on AEW.
I support Yota Tsuji's claim that he might boycott Forbidden Door because of the way the IWGP title has been disrespected on those shows.
Yeah, I mean again, this the one year was whoever it was against it was Sonata when he was the champion. He took on Jack Perry, and again, nothing against Jack Perry, but Jack Perry isn't, especially at that time, isn't a challenger for the IWGP title.
Yeah, and Tsuji noted he named there was the 4-way the one year, and then there was the open challenge that was Jack Perry, and then there was he mentioned there being a retired wrestler, which was a reference to Nigel McGuinness last year, which that was a cool match having Zach and Nigel in London, but then that's not a New Japan match at all.
Yeah. I was there for the one good one, or at least the one star versus star one, or real star versus star match. Moxley versus Naito when Naito won.
Yeah, it sucks that Naito was pretty much kaput by then.
Indeed. Although it's funny because I was a curse for John Moxley. The first 3 AEW pay-per-views I went to, he lost the world title.
Now, the first Forbidden Door with the Moxley Tanahashi match was great.
The funny thing was, I really saying I didn't care sounds mean, but it's I did not care because it was obviously Tanahashi was not winning. It was the interim AEW title thing. I was I don't know. It's I wasn't interested in that main event.
I was interested in it for being Moxley and Tanahashi.
And before anyone says this, I would have been more interested in Punk versus Tanahashi. For whatever reason, I don't know. It's not that I don't like Jon Moxley, and we've kind of had an argument about that before. I'm ready for him to take a Chris Jericho break. You know what I mean? It's like he's been here nonstop for the whole time AEW, minus when he went away for his personal issues a few years ago. But like he's been here the entire time nonstop. Everybody else, for one reason or another, has had breaks throughout the AEW run. I'd like to see Moxley off my TV for a little bit so I could miss him.
He's had breaks. They've just been months and not like a whole year. Just a little while.
I don't remember him taking a break outside of when he went to rehab that time.
He was
I
gone.
Could be wrong. Go ahead.
Like he disappeared for 2 months between losing that match to Naito and then coming back to start the Death Riders angle.
I believe it, and I'll take your word for it, but I don't. Again, it's time for him to take some time off. Just saying. In my opinion, that's the thing. I set myself up for these Jon Moxley arguments. So anyway, we're going to be back tomorrow with TNA, the pay-per-view, and then Friday for Impact. Now, did you watch both shows or just the one so far?
I'm about halfway through Impact.
Okay. I'll be interested to see what you think about the pay-per-view, because when I read 2004 Dave Meltzer loved that show, the pay-per-view. I was ready to quit halfway through the show. And thankfully, I had a strong second hour. So I'll be interested in seeing what you think about it. Impact. So go ahead.
I also wanted to quit when Disco Inferno was on. That's normal.
I've said this before. The first time I ever tried watching the weekly pay-per-views was a decade or so ago, and I quit watching during the build-up to Glenn Gilberti being the #1 main event heel and getting a world title match against Jeff Jarrett. Even though I knew, because I'm me, I knew he wasn't winning the match, especially because I knew like AJ was winning the belt like a week later, so I knew fucking Glenn Gilberti wasn't getting the world title. But it's like there's nothing in my life that makes me ever want to see Disco Inferno challenging for the world title in my life, which I guess I had to live through twice.
Well, look at your life, look at your choices.
Yep. Not even WCW was dumb enough to put Disco Inferno in a world title match.
Russo would have done it if he'd been in charge longer.
Russo probably would have put the belt on him.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he would not have been the worst world champion of the year 2000. Bottom three.
He would have been a better world champion than Vince Russo.
He would have lost the belt in the ring.
You know what? Say what you will about David Arquette, but he dropped the title.
Well, I was about to just start ranting about that. Do you think, and I know this is a hell of a conspiracy theory, but Russo put the belt on himself. Do you think there's that part in your mind that goes, he put the belt on David Arquette, knowing that in the back of his own mind, a long-term plan was to have him win the belt, and knowing that once Arquette wins the belt, expectations are out the fucking window and nobody gives a shit. So when he put the belt on himself, it's like, who cares anymore?
That's a great low-stakes conspiracy theory, but no, I don't think so.
You don't think he thinks that far ahead?
I don't think he thinks much at all.
Oh my God. So, I've always been wrestling obsessed. Spoiler alert. When I was a kid, and Owen Hart didn't win the tag team titles of the Royal Rumble, and he started his feud with Brett, and then he won the tag titles the next year at WrestleMania. I had it in my head that they told him to appease him for losing the tag title match at Royal Rumble 94, to just hold on that he'd win the tag titles in a year. As opposed to, hold on, you're going to go be in a main event feud with your brother over the world title.
That's a form of psychosis, making connections that aren't there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. We went longer than I thought we were when we were running through Mid-South, and it's my fault as always. But thank you all for listening. I hope you all enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.